Anthony on Air podcast. Welcome to this special episode. There's a new Epstein story out that is so disgustingly despicable. We felt it necessary to separate it from our normal podcast. So appreciate you joining us for this. And let's just dive right in. Frankie C. along with us as always. A lot of disgusting stories as far as Epstein goes, of course. This is by far one of the most disgusting that I've ever heard. It's a new story. It comes off a civil claim. A lot of people are still suing his estate or putting in civil claims. And this one is coming from a Jane Doe, so we don't know her name. She was 26 at the time that she had her encounters with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And here's the details of the story, Frank. So, right around the time 2008, when he was arranging his sweetheart deal with the Department of Justice, all of this was going on. And the allegations are against Epstein, Darren Indike, and Richard Kahn, who are his co-executors, Epstein's co-executors. Most of the allegations involving Epstein are pretty similar. This one stands out a little bit differently. This was all filed March 22nd. The woman, being identified as Jane Doe, claims that Epstein and Maxwell repeatedly raped her in front of her 8-year-old son at a hotel in Naples, Florida in early 2008, that they trafficked her to have sex with a number of other men, including an unnamed local judge, and that Epstein forced her to undergo a vaginal surgery procedure so that he could market her as a virgin to one of her high-profile clients.
What the hell, man?
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's crazy and it's out there. She's being represented by the law firm Phillips and Palicelli in New York and Coffey Burlington based in Miami, of which Kendall Coffey is a former U.S. attorney in Miami. Requests for comment were not returned by Maxwell's longtime attorney, Laura Menninger. A video conference of the case is scheduled for 1 p.m. Thursday before a federal judge in Fort Lauderdale. Doe, identified in the claim as only a real estate broker at the time who sold properties in and around Palm Beach, said that she met Epstein and Maxwell sometime in late 2006 or early 2007 at a barbecue hosted by her employer, who knew Epstein well. Doe was approximately 26 at the time, was a native of Turkey who lived in Broward County, according to the complaint. Her employer, who is not identified in the lawsuit, told her that Epstein wanted to rent or purchase a piece of real estate and that she ultimately found him a property to rent for $10,000 a month. The suit says that he paid cash and she was directed to not identify the tenant or process Epstein's identification. Epstein expressed an interest in hiring her to work for him, and as an inducement, he gave her expensive gifts and promised to find her and her then husband a highly placed employment. The woman claims that in the middle of 2007, Maxwell, who went by the name G-Max then, took her passport for safekeeping. Doe later learned that Epstein kept it in a locked box inside his Palm Beach estate. 6 months later, Doe, persuaded by the persistent efforts of Maxwell, agreed to consider working for Epstein. A trained hairdresser, Doe said she was hired to go to Epstein's Palm Beach mansion in 2008 to cut Epstein's hair. When she arrived, Epstein was naked. With Maxwell's assistance, he brutally raped her, according to the lawsuit. At the time, the woman recalls Epstein had guns in his possession, which were displayed to her in order to frighten and intimidate her. After the assault, Epstein allegedly gave Doe $200. There seems to be a pattern with the money. He often gave the massages to the underage girls too. He gave them money.
Like that makes it all better.
Yeah, it's a bizarre. It's a bizarre, isn't it? A billionaire for raping girls, and then feels the need to give like $200.
Like, yeah, this should cover you. Like, what do you do? What's the thought process there?
It's very strange. I don't know, but doesn't it stand out to you? It's very strange.
It is strange. I mean, this guy obviously was a gigantic evil asshole, and it kind of makes me wish that he was still around so he can face all of this. You know, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest heartbreaks of the century that he's not here to to get everything he has coming to him.
Yep.
She attempted to leave after the rape, telling them that she intended to report what happened. Maxwell, in response, claimed that she had already called the police. Two men who claimed to be police officers arrived at Epstein's mansion and threatened to arrest Doe for prostitution, to take her son away, deport her. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe there was this need to like give money because then he could always be like, I paid her. She was a prostitute.
It's a prostitute. Yeah. That doesn't make it, you know.
No, but
a prostitute can be.
You could see the twisted, deranged logic behind that. Exactly. Epstein and Maxwell then ordered Doe to drive with them to Doe's vehicle, picking up her son along the way. During the trip, they pulled off the side of the road to a waterway filled with alligators. Epstein then ushered the plaintiff to the body of water and told her in explicit detail that, as had happened to other women in the past, according to the pair, she would end up in this body of water to be devoured by alligators should she ever reveal what Epstein had done to her. At a hotel in Naples, over a period of days, Doe was repeatedly raped by Epstein and Maxwell in the presence of her younger son. Over the next 5 months until May of 2008, they threatened and intimidated her by emphasizing Epstein's influence over the FBI, the U.S. Office of Homeland Security's Department of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and Florida state and local law enforcement, according to the lawsuit. The woman said that Epstein also promised to help her husband find a job with the FBI, and used that incentive and others as leverage to force her to have sex with other men, including an older, heavyset man named Walter and another older man who identified himself to Doe as a local judge, according to the complaint. She was repeatedly photographed and videotaped naked, performing lewd activities during this time. Doe, who appeared much younger than 26, was told to tell clients she was 17. In May of 2008, she said Epstein forced her to have unwanted vaginal surgery, which was conducted in a wealthy person's home by a man with a Russian accent to create the false impression that she was a virgin for a high-profile client, according to the lawsuit.
I feel like a lot of people, this involves a lot of people. And, you know, there's pictures and video. This has to exist somewhere. And, the surgery, all this stuff. I hope they, are able to track all this stuff down in order to prosecute Maxwell. You can't prosecute Epstein anymore, but Maxwell, yeah.
Doe said that in April of 2008, she was directed to keep a locked box for Epstein, which she was instructed she could never open or she would be killed. She was also given burner phones and other electronic devices that Epstein was seeking to hide from law enforcement authorities, the lawsuit claims. Eventually, the box and other materials were retrieved by Maxwell in 2008, according to the lawsuit. It's not clear when the alleged abuse ended. Jane Doe said she was so traumatized by the events and fearful of Epstein's power that she was too afraid for both herself and her son to notify authorities. She was also from a devout Muslim family and worried that the facts would bring great shame on her family.
Disgusting. Every time there's new evidence,
it's more and more disgusting.
It's terrible, yeah.
But what's interesting about this time around, like you just pointed out, now you have another victim. You have her son, right? So that's something. You have other men. This Walter, whoever this judge is.
I wonder if she knows, like she could pick them out,
identify them. Yeah, and here's why this is all significant to me. Is this broadens that spectrum of conspiracy, not like conspiracy theory, but meaning like
the crime of conspiracy.
Right. And if there were people in the government, in the FBI, in Homeland Security, whatever, that he was alluding to here, who are those people? You know what I'm saying? Like
you got dirty cops, it seems like, right? People, those guys who showed up.
I don't even know if they were cops. Are cops, but there are two more people.
You got the judge, obviously dirty judge.
Right.
You got whoever performed the surgery.
Right.
You got all the clients and whomever. And there's so many people that they've got to get some of them. To get all these people. In other words, Jane Doe is I don't know if she's naming them, but she's giving them these are all the people that were involved. something's got to stick. I feel
Yeah,
hopefully.
I don't know, like it could be total BS that he knew people and that the FBI, he could have just been saying that. But if he
Oh
does,
yeah, but like the people that she interacted with, I mean,
yeah,
like the judge and this Walter guy and the two whoever the cops were and whoever the clients are.
yeah,
You know,
it would be huge if she could identify.
right? Plus the husband, I'm sure has some kind of who knows if he has any kind of knowledge of who these people were.
I wonder because it does say then husband, so I would assume that she's no longer with them. But when you say a local judge, like that really kind of doesn't that like don't you think we should be able to pinpoint who
Yeah,
that
I mean,
is
how many judges are there in the area?
at the
I'm
time?
sure she might be able to identify on site.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm sure they're looking into all this. We're not, coming up with this on our own. I'm sure
yeah.
they're way ahead of us. I'm sure.
I mean, how many judges could there be in the area? A few
Well, where
hundreds?
was it? Florida?
1,000? Well, yeah.
Yeah. And one. I mean, what's local? Is it a town, a state? I don't know. Depends on how big of a range we're talking here. I'm sure that she could somewhat give them more information than we have. I'm sure there's more than what we're privy to.
Yeah. I find this interesting. Obviously, we'll keep our because I find it interesting in a perspective of again, it leads to more of what his power and influence was and where it was, and could it lead to more people who deserve to be prosecuted alongside him and Maxwell?
Seems like there should be.
Will it lead to that? Will this young lady be able to point to specific, and
And I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. No, you can.
I feel like after all this, to only have, I mean, unless I'm wrong here, unless I just haven't remembered anything, but is Maxwell? There's got to be other people in custody from this whole thing. I feel like there's got to be dozens of people involved in this.
No,
And if Maxwell's the only one in custody,
she's the only one right now.
but all these people that have been named in these reports and whoever these customers are.
Yeah, that Jean-Luc Brunel, I think, who was over in Paris. I think I saw him. I can't remember if he was in or not, if they got him or what they were looking for. I know he was missing for a long time.
I mean, this story involves so many people, and to just have one in custody,
yeah,
is disappointing.
And we talked about this in the past, you have butlers and groundskeepers and maids and all this kind of stuff. If they
Exactly.
if there was some sort of a medical procedure performed in some rich person's house, you have to think that more than one person saw that encounter happen.
Right.
Whether they just saw them arriving at the house, or I don't know if you could perform a procedure like that without having other people assist you. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like this is a little nugget that could lead to some other things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just so every time there's a new development, it involves another dozen or so people. It's like, how are they not rounding people up by the dozens,
So if you're interested in following the saga of Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously you can subscribe to this channel. This is our highlight channel. This is our single topic channel. Our main channel, which we have linked in the description below, and we'll put a card. That's usually where we do a lot of this stuff. But I just kind of felt like this was so despicable. We had to kind of keep it separate. So
yeah, we didn't want to follow up this story with something goofy.
With some more fun stuff, which is what we're more accustomed to doing, in addition to following along with everything that's going on with this. So, point being, if you are interested in the Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein information, make sure you subscribe to our main channel or this channel. We do put stuff up on this channel as well for that. Again, if it's going to be something as disgusting and grotesque as this, it'll be here probably. Moving forward. But again, our info is down on the banner there. AnthonyOnAir.com has all our information. So appreciate that. And by the way, sharing this video is always appreciated. I feel like that's how the word gets out on all this stuff and what a scumbag this guy was. And, mainstream media kind of doesn't really cover this stuff a lot or as much as they should. And
Yeah,
You know,
I feel like mainstream media, you'll see like one story every 2 months on this,
yeah, yeah.
and
So,
it's not that in depth.
so appreciate it if you watch this and hit the like or shared it. Thank you so much. And of course, if anything else happens, we'll have it here for you.